Cozy Corner of Cinema. This is episode number 198, being recorded on Friday, January 16th, 2026. It is a chilly morning, at least chilly in here. I haven't been outside yet, or at least only briefly to grab a package. But we got the space heater on. The cats don't really seem to mind. They got plenty of energy, so that's great. They keep knocking over that water bowl, so we gotta be careful about that. But anyways, here we are. We're in the middle of January, and let me tell you, I think the year is off to a great start for films. I've already seen a couple films this year, a couple new releases that have been excellent. One I will talk about later. But it's important, I mentioned before, to stay on top of your goals, of your dreams. I'm finishing up a project at the moment, a writing project. Well, knock on wood, finishing it. It's been my famous last words for a little while. I just keep writing and writing, and then I kind of I'm going to have to trim a lot of it or make the dialogue not embarrassing as hell. So we're going to have to really fix that up. But then plenty of books to be read. I've got a stack that I'm looking at, just a lot that I'm really eager to dive into. Actually, this one here, my girlfriend got for me. I'm really eager to read. It's called Taboos of the World: Mondo Movies and Other Documentaries Designed to Shock. I think this, I don't know if this is a new book or not. What's the copyright on this? This is written by Paul Hutchings. Copyright 2025. Okay. And, yeah, I'm really, really I'm not trying to rush through the books I'm reading now because I want to enjoy them and I want to actually, I don't want to just rush through a page and not retain any of that information. But that's one that I'm definitely keeping my eye on. Because I've talked about before my love for, the book Killing for Culture, From Edison to ISIS by David Korekis and David Slater. And I'm very interested in that documentary that Severin are making that it's based off Killing for Culture. I don't know what the status of that is, but that's going to definitely be, that's definitely on my radar to watch. So I got a stack of books there I really got to get into. But, we're going to take it one page at a time, one word at a time, one sentence at a time. It's going to be good. It's going to be, we're not going to rush through anything. I was gifted books for Christmas. Really, I want to get into those. I bought books. Acquaintances have bought me books. There's actually one in the middle there there's a stack. I'm not going to take the whole stack off. Anyways, but there was one that an acquaintance gifted me that I'm really looking forward to reading it about the avant-garde scene in New York in the 60s. That'll be read in due time. Anyways, so moving on from there. In news at the time of this recording, actually, let me look at the date that it actually was released. Let's see here. 3 days ago. 3 days ago? That was Tuesday. I don't really talk a lot about lost media on here. This is the cozy corner of cinema. I guess I could talk about like lost films, but or films that may have been lost at one point or still lost. I don't really touch on that topic a whole lot, but I am very fascinated with lost media, lost films. There are plenty of YouTube channels and sources to look after this information. There's the Lost Media Wikipedia or the Lost Media Wiki. So it's not such a mouthful. And it's a very fascinating topic. And it's one that, I don't stay on top of it, but I'm familiar with a lot of the kind of bigger pieces of lost media in terms of like films or, shows or any kind of odds and ends like that. But recently unearthed short film, 1965, maybe I thought it was 67. Maybe it was 65. Doesn't matter. Shown in 72. Uncle Walt was known about for a while. Sort of a famous lost film, short film, runs about 8 minutes, a little under 8 minutes. And I won't go into the specifics of the whole release or the whole ordeal. I would recommend a couple different videos actually on the topic, which I'll mention a little bit about, but I'm not going to try to summarize. But Blame It on George's video that was posted a year ago about how it was almost released from Thunderbean Entertainment. They're a Blu-ray company specializing in animated films, animated shorts. And then Uncle NPC released the film on his YouTube channel, a 16 millimeter bootleg copy, and then he uploaded an additional video that's about 40 minutes about the story of what happened with Thunderbean, how he obtained a copy of it, and the moral ambiguity of releasing it. I'm not going to try to summarize the whole thing because I think the story itself is fascinating. But I watched it, and it's what it is. It's an animated short. Made by a student, shown in, it was like a college student that made it. I'm blanking on the name. I do apologize. I'm not trying to make this sound cohesive or anything like that. I'm just talking about the documentary itself. I'm talking about the short itself. But it's an interesting piece of kind of animation. It is, I mean, I'm not going to like review the thing or anything like that. It's more just the significance of the fact that it's been released. We've had screenshots of it. The existence has been confirmed in the past, so it wasn't even a case of it being, of the reality of it being up for debate. But it's more so, like I'm saying before, it's more so about the significance of it. And it's interesting kind of seeing some of the reactions to this. One of the kind of talking points I really can't get behind is that people, they don't like it, so whether they're joking or not, they'll say like, "Oh, it should have stayed lost." And to me, I think that's just a ridiculous kind of statement. Or people say, like Vinegar's things when they put out those Forgotten Gialli box sets, and people say, "Oh, these are movies are terrible. Some of these are terrible. They should be forgotten." And I think it's a really egregious and flat out just a dumb thing to say. Now, whether or not, and I won't go into the whole documentary here, whether or not the creator wants his work to be released, that's one thing. That's a conversation right there. But not liking something and equating it to this shouldn't even be available are two different things. And I'm talking about solely something like this. I know people talk about certain lost media of maybe some like death footage or maybe something like horrific or real life kind of crime stuff or violent stuff, whatever. That's a whole other conversation. And I think context definitely depends on the situation there. But when it comes to films being unearthed, when it comes to media like this, that this might not be a great example because there is a little bit of moral ambiguity with the creator not really wanting it released. But I'm talking about in general, the idea of not liking something so no one should have access to it is insane, and it's bizarre. But because you think about all the films, all the pieces of media over time that were lost at one point. I mean, how many silent films are just gone? I mean, not even lost. I mean, just straight up gone. They just, film preservation. I don't think, it goes without saying it wasn't taken seriously at a certain point. Nitrate film was very flammable. That's, in Inglourious Bastards, that's a whole piece of the film is how flammable it is and how the conditions of storing films, which is not taken as seriously. Now, when we have these companies like Vinegar Syndrome, where the name Vinegar Syndrome directly comes from, and I'm not I'm trying to sound like an expert or anything. I'm definitely not. But that comes from, what these films would get. They'd get the Vinegar Syndrome on it. The films, they would, they deteriorate, they'd break, and smell like vinegar and become very fragile and very, very, yeah, that's the word to use there, fragile. And so it's great to get. It's just great that we have these companies now. We have these people who take it very seriously, and it's been taken seriously. I'm not saying this is like a new phenomenon or anything like that, but this idea of just like, oh, well, this is dumb, I don't like this, so no one should see this is one of the craziest things you could say with a straight face. I think, in terms of the context of film in general, because even recently I was listening to an acquaintance's podcast, and they were talking about one of the new releases from Vinegar Syndrome. This also, if you can hear it in the background, that's the cats acting like maniacs. So, they were talking about their new Reviver collection, where they found a bunch of, but they have these like film prints. They're weird, kind of odds and ends, and they're releasing it there in these collections, and they were talking about how these were really kind of bad, dumb, sort of like random things, but even those kind of random, dumb things, these short films, these student films, I think if we have them and it's okay to release them, then why not release them? I mean, Something Weird, they made their whole career off just these weird odds and ends of just stuff that no one was giving the time of day to, and people were not taking it seriously. That's why we got companies like AGFA now, the American Genre Film Association, and I know that I don't know if Lisa from Something Weird directly works with them. I know that they've released a lot of the Something Weird catalog, but Something Weird have so many titles that it's just wild. And they'll put them on these collections of just like, drug films or weird kids films. I was talking about Fun in Balloon Land, which is bizarre, but it makes me laugh because it's just so silly. And they put that in a collection as well. I don't know if she works directly with them or not, or if it's just a case of I don't know. As somebody smarter than me can break down, I'm not going to even try to. I already probably sound like an idiot trying to summarize these sorts of things. But yeah. So this idea, I mean, the Uncle Walt thing. To me, the story behind the whole ordeal, the history behind it, how it was, it being lost, it being found again, but not being able to be released. That all kind of overshadows the quality of the short and stuff. I don't really care if it's good or bad. People are disappointed, like man, this is what we look for, this and that. I really don't care. Quality wise, it's just more about like, wow, what a treat to be able to get to see this that I didn't think, and it's not like there's another Walt Disney supposed lost media that may or may not exist, that you can go down the rabbit hole yourself about a film, an animated film shown at I think it was Walt's one of his birthday parties, one of his events, I don't know, and he was so upset about it that he like fired the animation staff on the spot, or maybe not on the spot, maybe he fired them, I don't know. It was like this weird kind of like, I think it was like Mickey and Minnie having sex or something like that. Somebody smarter than me. I'm going off memory here. You can look it up. I don't know if that's actually confirmed to exist or not. So if that pops up, great. If not, then that's just urban legend. Who knows? But either way, yeah. But you just think about films that were eventually found. I mean, you looked like something like The Passion of Joan of Arc. I'm thinking about films that are now considered like classics. Like The Passion of Joan of Arc, or gosh, now I'm gonna have to. I'm trying to think of some of these off the top of my head because I have a list here. I'm just looking at some of these older films. I found the films that were lost or rediscovered. Let's see, or let's see, the Spanish Dracula, which is now people talk about if they like it more than the Bela Lugosi Dracula, go back and forth. The Smiling Lieutenant, 1931. I think this is the same one that I've seen. Yeah, The Smiling Lieutenant, Ernest Lubitsch film. I really like that film a lot. That's with, what the hell's his name? Well, Claudia Colbert's in that. Which is funny, I actually just watched her in Midnight, which I really like. I thought that was a very enjoyable film. Claudia Colbert is just, the more films I've seen of her, it's just become one of my just favorite actresses. I think she's gorgeous, and I think she's just so whip smart, just so talented. I should say the lead in that was Maurice Chevalier, and that was a previously lost film. And it's not just films from the 20s and 30s. I mean, it's older films as well. I mean, I'm looking here at like films from the 60s. I mean, I just talked about not too long ago Incubus from 1966. Which was a Leslie Stevens film, and I'm such a fan of that film, and that was lost for a while. That was found in French. Oh my God, that was found in France, not French. Oh my goodness gracious, I didn't get enough sleep tonight. Oh my goodness. Or films that get rediscovered, like Wake in Fright. It was, it was lost for a while, gets rediscovered, and now it's considered a classic of its type, and I think it's a brilliant film. So, anyways, yeah, the whole idea. I know I'm repeating myself now, but I just kind of want to beat the point in. Of just because you don't like it doesn't mean that people shouldn't see it, and that's kind of where I'm at there. But yeah, check out those videos I was mentioning about. I always forget to kind of talk about. I always forget to kind of put links in the description for some of the videos that I reference, but you can easily kind of find that on your own. I mean, film preservation now, I think, is just so fascinating. You can look at, like Vinegar Syndrome had that Lost Picture Show box set, and there was a documentary in there I haven't watched yet called Against the Grain, which is about them kind of preserving these films. in the state of like film preservation now, and that's I think that'd be such a cool kind of thing to get into. For the idea of just finding these films and then unearthing them after all this time, seeing what they are, and just seeing like, man, what is this strange kind of thing? I mean, I've had opportunities to buy. I mean, you can go on eBay and find a lot of this stuff. Oftentimes, that's what happens. They just go on eBay and not them specifically, but people in general. They will go online and just buy random prints and all that. And it's cool. I mean, I've had opportunities to buy, films. So one, I mean, it's an expensive kind of hobby. I mean, the projector alone, getting a working one, getting it all set up. An acquaintance of mine, I don't know if he wants me to say his name, so I won't. But he collects 16 millimeter films, and he's talked about how much he loves collecting them, and finding these prints online, but setting the whole thing up, and that's great. I don't have the space for that, for one. I don't really truthfully have the interest in setting up a 16 millimeter the projector or anything like that. I don't have the wall space for it alone. And then two, maybe more so, is that I also don't want to buy these films if I don't have the proper way to store them, because a lot of these films that may be in rough condition are sensitive to temperature. And where I live currently, I live somewhere where the dehumidifier has to be run a lot because I'm underground essentially. So there's a lot of moisture in the air sometimes. And like in my film room, I have a dehumidifier running almost constantly, that keeps it at a certain temperature because of, you collecting collecting Blu-rays of paper in them. And so you don't want to be folded, you want to be kept in good condition. And you can store them in there. And that's one thing, but I also have no way of watching them. I would rather a collector who can properly take care of these, and if they wanted to watch them or donate them, I'd rather them have the opportunity to than me kind of selfishly hoard them just so I can say I have this thing that I can't do anything with. Because even recently, I had an opportunity to buy a 35 millimeter print of Around the World with John the Watt Holmes. It was a couple $100. I could have bought it, if I had there was a cinema to donate it to, I happily would have. But where I live, they're not. For one, they're not showing adult films, and two, I mean, a 35 millimeter print alone, it's like they're not gonna, they're not showing a lot of films on film. Unless you're in an area like, if you have a cinema like the New Beverly, or a lot of like, the American Cinematheque, out west that can, that would show these. That's one thing. But I'm not gonna selfishly, keep it for myself just to say that I have it, just to post a picture and be like, look at this, I got it. That's why I like my acquaintance who collects those, because he actually watches them, he actually preserves them, he actually, so that's cool. But anyways, let's talk about a brand new film. Talked about a lost film. Let's talk about a brand new film. And so I saw two films yesterday. I saw the new Gus Van Sant film, Dead Man's Wire, and it was excellent. Gus Van Sant's a filmmaker who I've talked about many times in the show. He, I think, is a brilliant filmmaker, hasn't lost his touch, is still making great films. I've talked about the film he did a couple years ago, Don't Worry, You Won't Get Far on Foot. It was an excellent film in 2018. This is his first feature. This is his first, feature film since then. That was 2018, this is 2020. I mean, it says 2025, but released for me to see in 2026. I know some cinemas got it in December. But anyways, I want to mention that briefly. I won't go into a whole thing about it, because the other film I wanted to mention that I have talked about before, I've now seen 28 years later, The Bone Temple. I've talked at length about how much I am a fan of 28 Years Later, how I think it's been a breath of fresh air among contemporary horror. It is a really exceptional film. And 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple. I walked in and I didn't want to just automatically love it. I knew it was getting good reviews. I knew it was getting good word of mouth. I really try to separate myself from that. Because to me, reviews, they don't really matter. If I'm already looking forward to a film, it's like, great, cool. But I don't, whether a film gets positive or negative reviews doesn't affect whether I see the film or not. If I want to see it, I'm going to see it. I don't care if it has a 100% Rotten Tomatoes or 0%. I don't care. It means nothing to me. Except for the latter, or the former, I should say. If I'm already looking forward to it and I happen to be getting great reviews, cool. But I don't seek it out. I don't go on Rotten Tomatoes. If I hear like see an article headline that's like, so and so getting great reviews or poor reviews, like whatever. I don't care. So I watched it, and this was not directed by Danny Boyle. This was directed by Nia DaCosta, who I don't know if I've seen any of her other films. Let me see here. She's directed a couple films. She has directed The Marvels, which was obviously a Marvel movie from 2023. Directed Hedda, which came out last year, and I didn't see this. I think I meant to watch this, but I didn't write it down. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't watch this, truthfully. Anyways, she also directed Candyman from 2021, which I've not seen, but I hear generally mixed things on, leaning towards negative. I don't. I've had more people I know and opinions I trust say they don't like it than they do. And she had a movie called Little Woods in 2018, which I'm unfamiliar with. But anyways, what am I talking about? I'm talking about the damn 28 Years Later movie. Also written by Alex Garland again. And I think it was good having Nia DaCosta direct this because it's able to stand uniquely as its own film in terms of a directorial style. It's not trying to duplicate Danny Boyle's style. It's doing its own thing. And even though Alex Garland is writing it again, the structure of the film feels different. This feels, I don't even want to say smaller in scope because it does have like, a big kind of set piece. But in terms of the characters that it's dealing with, it's not as if this big kind of traversing the land. It's really only a couple locations that I thought that I didn't realize was going to be primarily in these locations. But we follow a couple different stories in this. We follow Ray Fiennes' character again in this, and sort of him living by himself in this bone temple, trying to find a cure or find some way to lessen the effects of the zombies that are living on land. And we also follow the rest of these characters. Spike from the last film, and now he's been forced to kind of be inducted into this group, this group of Jimmies led by Jack O'Connell in this, and the problems that come from there. And also one of the great performances in the film as well is an actor I'm unfamiliar with, Chai Lewis Perry, who plays this big alpha kind of zombie, Samson, and physically he's a force. I mean, he's just like, you see this guy running towards you, it'll be frightening. But where the film goes to with the writing, they give him much more to do rather than just being a sight to see. He's actually in a lot of the film, and some of my favorite stuff in the film was between him and Ray Fiennes. But I gotta say, I loved this film so much. I don't want to say blown away, because that's exaggerated, and admittedly I am riding on the fact that I saw it less than 24 hours ago. But I think if I said on my little letterboxed blurb, oh my goodness gracious, if the next film sticks the landing, I will confidently call this one of my favorite trilogies. The first film I think is far more emotional, is far more about the characters, and this one is about the characters too, but it's also about the environment around them, and maybe not quite the myths that were set up in the first one, where we're getting Spike's point of view in the first film, so we don't know exactly what is being told him truthfully, intentionally or not. Even with the Dr. Kelson character, they don't really know much about him. They have an idea about him and where that turns to, because here it's able to manage this brutal kind of violence with these people who are taking the opportunity to kind of go around and be brutal, not only to the zombies but to other people as well. But when you're jumping between these brutal scenes and these quieter moments between Ray Fiennes and, Samson and Dr. Kelson, on paper, I think it'd be a tricky line to walk, but it does it so well. And there's moments of comedy in this that actually work well. There's some moments of visual comedy, but then there's also moments of real heart in this. I think Alex Garland is such a strong writer. I've liked or loved everything he's done besides Civil War. I think that's the only one that didn't really work for me. Ironically, that's the only one that I don't think the writing... I think one of the biggest problems that is the writing in that. But where this goes to, the third act in this, I thought was just incredible. And I love what both these movies do is they set up something and they completely go against what you would expect. Because there's some of the shots in the trailer. I'm not going to mention anything. In the context of the film, the way that it completely changes the context is great. I mean, there is a scene in the third act of this film that I was like, this is so cool they're doing this. And this is like, I can't even talk about it because I can't give spoilers, but just essentially a character laughing in another character's face. Not literally, but the way it goes about it is like, it in context and in the rest of the film, it is like, that is so funny and cool they did that. There's also two great needle drops in the film from two of my favorite bands, so it's sort of like, and they both work in completely different things. One is more dramatic and serious, and the song works for that scene, and it like gave me chills when I'm watching it. And then the latter, the way that man, I gotta say, 'cause I'm kind of just gushing about the film. I'm a little sporadic on it. The way that this certain song has a setup to it, man, that's one of the best needle drops of recent memory. I can't remember the last time where I was like, wow, that's a great use of a song. I should also say as well, Sentimental Value has a great soundtrack as well. And there's one song that they use in that film and Dead Man's Wire. It is Cannot Chase by Labi Siffrey or Sif. I don't know this artist. But they use that song in both films, and they both work great for those. But yeah, both the needle drops are great, and this is the where the film goes to in the third act. Like I said, like the ending of this film, because this is part of a trilogy. It gave me the best feeling where I when the credits came up, I was like, I cannot wait where the next one goes to, because I do say, unfortunately, the ending of the film, they did reveal, like when the last one came out, they said, well, this is our plan, and I was like, boy, I really kind of wish you didn't reveal that, because I wasn't surprised how the film ends, but it was still cool. I'm like, that's great, and just, I can't even say what it is, but let's just say something, a song plays, and it gave me chills in my arm, and I went, and the credits come up, and I was almost overwhelmed. I was like, wow, they completely stuck the landing on this. I'm going to be talking about this again. I want to kind of sit on it a bit more, but whether or not do I like it more than the first film? I mean, I get different kind of reactions from both these films, but I do think that, man, Alex Garland knocked it out of the park with this writing. Danny Boyle knocked it out of the park with the first one, and Nia DaCosta here, she just completely knocked it out of the park on this one. I just straight up can't say enough. Sorry about that. The program shut out for some reason. I don't know. What I was saying is that somebody who's not a big fan of a lot of contemporary horror, I was really taken aback by, I mean, the first film as well, but this film too. I'm just like, man, because I was thinking like, man, I'm such a fan of that first one, but I'm not just gonna walk in and ready to like this one. It's got to, it's new directs, a different director, it's doing its own thing, and I loved it. 2026. I've already seen 5 films this month alone that range from good to fantastic, phenomenal. And next, I'm going to wrap that up there, guys. So I think that was, I don't know if you can hear the cats in the background. They are maniacal today. It's wild. But hey, you know what? We're in the throes of January. We have plenty of time to follow our dreams, to go after what we want to go after, to live the life we want to live, but we shouldn't put it off, and we shouldn't wait for opportunity to come to us. Enjoy every day, enjoy every moment. Don't try to rush through anything. Don't try to rush through the day or the week or the month or, whatever, because you got to just really live it every day. As ridiculous as it, you hear it said so many times, people, you got to live for the now, live for now. You really gotta. So you're not gonna be one of these people who's like, oh man, the year's going by so fast, or the days go by so blah blah blah. Time's gonna feel like it's getting faster as you get older. So we gotta really cherish it, hold on to it the best we can. So that's all I gotta say for this one, guys. You guys take care, and I will be back next time. And a new People Pictures is coming soon. So thank you guys so much for listening.